Today I get to talk to two of my favorite people, Cora and Alex Bear. Oh, and their parents, Nate and Jen, on this latest edition of Grace Notes. All right, well, we've got the Bears with us here at our beautiful play park on a wonderful fall afternoon, and welcome. We're glad that you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I know people are thrilled to get to see you. Not as thrilled as I am to get to see my buddies Alex and Cora, whom I haven't seen since March. So tell everybody kind of. The question I've been asking people is, so how has your life changed since March? What's it been like? Jen, why don't you go first? Since you're one of the few people we have in our church who actually works in the healthcare field, you've been right in the thick of all of this the whole time. So how has your life changed as a result of COVID?
The biggest thing right now is there is no consistency. There's constant change every day. Every day. You just don't know what they're going to change from day to day. We've gone from a no visitor policy to a one visitor policy to a no visitor policy to not having PPE to,
no singing.
You know, you handle it this way, handle it that way. We've had different floors of the hospital open, and
yeah, so you work at Piedmont.
I'm at Piedmont, and you just never know what you're going to go into from day to day.
Then how do you find out what you're going into, or do you just go into it?
You go in and you make the best of every situation, and then with the kids, are they going to be in school? Are they going to be out of school? Are they going to be virtual? Are we going to? What are we going to do with the kindergartner?
Yeah. Right.
I got to be at work. He's working. She needs to learn.
Yeah.
It's just coping with the unknown every day.
Which I would think would be extremely stressful.
It's been stressful,
yeah.
And now, you know, I think now that we know, it can just change. You just aren't relying on anything. I think the inconsistency is probably the hardest part, not knowing.
Going to work, not knowing what you're gonna.
Knowing you're gonna go into. It has been really nice to see the signs that thank your healthcare providers and stuff. Those are really nice.
Yeah.
But, and you know, you talk about pandemic fatigue. You're not hearing people clapping anymore, but we still have hospitals full.
Yeah.
And so that's hard to feel like we got to keep pushing forward.
Because some people kind of feel like, ugh, I'm kind of over this, but you guys are still in it.
We're still in it.
Yeah.
Still in it.
And you said the National Guard is still is on.
Yeah. The governor in July, when we had our big spike in July, asked Piedmont to open a few floors of the tower early. They were headed for an August 3rd open date, and instead of opening the World Congress Center. And so they opened a couple of floors, and then the census kind of started to drop a little bit, and Piedmont had asked to open back up on August 3rd as their own hospital. And there was a deal made with the governor that they would keep the floors open for COVID patients, and they brought in the National Guard in order to staff that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have several National Guard employees in there. And
I admire you.
I'm very.
Put your hand up to her.
And we are grateful. But you're right. I mean, we're not doing the clapping anymore, are we?
I know people are grateful. It's just.
Yeah.
It's part of being a healthcare worker.
It's just hard to carry it, isn't it? It just feels like it's never ending.
Some days.
Yeah.
You know, just like anything else,
Yeah.
it comes and goes and waves and.
Yeah.
You know, I was telling you, my coworker, we lost a coworker to
Yeah.
COVID, a PT to COVID at Piedmont, and that's a lot of the stories that people don't get to hear, that we continue to go in day after day knowing that we had lost somebody or that others have it, and we're coming into contact with them, and we still go in. And
Right.
people need health care.
Right. Yeah.
There was the 3 months shutdown. There's just so many parts to it. The 3 months shutdown, you couldn't have patients in the hospital. They weren't doing surgeries. Well, Now that people are allowed to come in and have surgeries, we're like over volumed with surgeries.
Oh, so are they back to a
trying-
regular schedule, pretty much? Oh, wow.
We pretty much are doing any surgeries. You might not be, as a visitor, you might not be able to get into the hospital.
Yeah.
But you can have your surgeries and things
Yeah.
like that. Now, we're back up going with that. So there have been days where we're just trying to make up 3 months of being closed in
Yeah.
less time. Like you
Oh
just
my gosh.
juggling a lot of balls.
Oh my gosh. It sounds so hard.
We're
Yeah.
making it.
Yeah. What about you, Nate? How has your life changed?
Quite a bit in a lot of different ways. We've talked about before, I work at Truist, which is the former Sun Trust, and before the pandemic started, we were going to have a ton of change just related to the merger integration that we were going through at work, and are still going through. And the pandemic hit, and it was something I think the leadership at our company was very conscious of, even prior to it coming into the U.S. So, it was very, I think, decisive about we're going to close things down, we're going to send people home, and I've been working from home since March 13th.
Yeah.
And I think I'll probably continue to be working at home probably March 13th of next year, potentially.
So there's no talk of being back in the
Well,
office?
there's talk, but it's, I think they're taking a hard look at people like me who don't necessarily have to be in an office to do what we do. And we're finding, it wasn't natural at first, but we found good ways of interacting virtually and making better use of virtual ways of meeting. And I've heard other people say this, and it's something I fully agree, that one thing that's happened from this pandemic is it's really accelerated probably by about 10 years where organizations, where we thought we were going to be in 10 years, is probably where we're going to have to be in about a year on things like virtual, how we work with clients and communities.
Really? Well, and I feel some of that here too. Like I was telling you, I mean, the things that we're doing like this video, I mean, we had the capability, there wasn't the urgency. And then you have to make it work, and then it becomes an organic part of what you do. And so, it's not as if once this is all over that we're going to stop doing this. We're going to, like you're saying, we're going to keep doing this and
that's the energizing part of it.
Yeah.
It's some of the things we've been able to experiment with church. We have the same thing at work, where we're going to try new things and find that we're successful and actually even more productive and more effective through some things we've had to adopt pretty quickly in the last 6 to 8 months, or however long it's been at this point.
So in the middle of all this, as people can tell, you have 2 little kids, which is
Production
super easy to manage, I'm sure.
Cameras, guys.
Tell me about what's going on with Cora and Alex, sort of how, school and things like that.
Well, thankfully kids are adaptive, and they've rolled with a lot of the punches that have been thrown their way. We also count ourselves pretty fortunate that had good situations before. We've been able to pivot to some other really good situations for both kids. Hertz Ferry Elementary, where Cora was in pre-K, stopped abruptly in March.
We didn't stop. They went virtual.
Went virtual.
They all went virtual.
Yeah. And then Alex's daycare closed.
So you had the 2 of them during the day while you're doing...
Day. Now, fortunately, Piedmont, in order to make sure that employees like Jen were effective, were able to provide some in-home support.
Oh,
so we
good.
had a person who came and helped supervise Cora and Alex and oversee some lessons. Well, I was at home too, but on conference calls or doing other work.
So you didn't have any of those like Zoom meetings where both kids come in and at the same time?
Oh, we did. Yeah, that happens a lot. And I think most people have been pretty understanding even before this hit, but I think it's really humanized a lot of us at work because we see that dimension of our coworkers we didn't see a lot of before.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I heard about that 5-year-old. Now I actually see the 5-year-old sticking his or her head in and making faces into the Zoom meeting. But with the kids, Alex's daycare started up again, thankfully, right after Memorial Day with a lot of safety precautions. Cora is now at Tabula Rasa for Tabula Rasa. I got a cue there for my daughter off screen.
Yeah.
So she's actually had on-site kindergarten and has taken to it. And the unique thing with Tabula Rasa is that they do Spanish immersion and some French. So she's learning some language, which is a big bonus for us. But it's, I think early August, Jenna and I were discussing, kindergarten's one of those last years where it's just pretty much fun without a lot of even early pressure around testing or performance. And what a crummy experience to have to do that virtually.
Yeah.
So we felt like we wanted to have a different opportunity for her. And, fortunately, we were able to take advantage of that for us. So.
Yeah. I mean, these
we
kids
know a lot of families are doing virtual, and I feel nothing but empathy for people that are finding ways to make that work.
It has to be hard because kids are craving to be around their friends. So one of the questions I've been asking people is, how have you connected with God, or where have you seen signs of God's grace in this time? And I think there's two signs right there, but how have you stayed connected to God, connected to the church? Kind of.
Yeah, I'll start. It's something that I've thought about recently. When we had Reverend Hemo here at the Rock Church, he had a very succinct phrase that we liked that resonated with both Jen and I. And someone from the church had asked him, "Do you expect to be persecuted, or are you persecuted in Iraq?" And he said, "Certainly, we expect it, but persecution sharpens the faith." Now, we're not being persecuted. It's a different experience, and I think on one level it helps keep it in perspective. We lose power, we have a pandemic, we have these issues, but there are a lot of other people that have it worse than us still. But the challenge is to sharpen the faith in some ways, and I think that's what we've had to learn through this, to find grace in other ways as we navigate a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And sometimes we find it at work, sometimes we see it through our kids' educations and what they're learning and the little sponges that they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes you find it in things like the 8 a.m. church service.
Yeah.
Which is just
I know
new
you
and
were
refreshing.
coming to that.
Yeah.
It's neat. Well, it's been a treat to see you guys. I mean, it just feels like it's been forever. And so this is always fun for me, and it's good that Scott could have Cora and Alex help with the audio and the video.
Thank you.
And poor Scott's gonna have to lie down and take a nap after this is over. Hey, Cora and Grace, do you guys want to come in and say hello to people at church on camera?
Alex, Cora, come over here.
Huh? Cora, come here.
You guys can say hi to your friends.
You can say hi to August.
They're going to be watching.
Come here.
And Alex, tell everybody what you were for Halloween.
I was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's been a favorite of yours, hasn't he? And Cora, you said you were Sleeping Beauty. Is
Cora,
that
come
right?
over here and tell people on camera. She doesn't want to talk on camera, but yeah, she was Sleeping Beauty.
She was Sleeping Beauty.
She loves the Disney princesses, so we were Sleeping Beauty.
What do you miss about church?
You miss Miss Ellen?
You miss August. You miss Miss Ellen. Miss Ellen and
Miss Samia?
Miss Mia. Yeah. What else do you miss?
I miss all of
Do
them.
you miss singing in church? No, you don't miss singing in
You know
church.
what
Sorry, Dr. James.
You know what I miss, Alex? Alex, I miss you sitting with me during the children's time. I
Do you
miss that. And I miss
Sitting
having
with Pastor Tim
Cora there
during
too.
children's time? Yeah.
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 Well, we'll get back to that one day.
One day we'll get back to
Yeah.
that.
Thank you again. This has been
No,
fun.
it's been fun. Yeah.
Take
It's good
care.
to see everybody.
Me too.
Yeah,
It is. Can't wait till we all are back together.
I know. Me too.
Cora, do you want to come say something?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.